I'm Alexa, a 33-year-old remote worker currently living at my parents' home, where I manage my daily responsibilities. I'm single at the moment, and my family includes my parents and my brother, who married last year. I had always thought that my brother and his wife, Romina, were enjoying marital bliss, but recently, Romina has been visiting us more often. This house is her in-laws, and I wondered if she might feel awkward on her initial visits. However, she seemed quite at ease and didn't display any signs of nervousness, unlike me, who is often overwhelmed by her beauty and confident presence. Romina has a way of making me feel like a sister to her, engaging in open and frank conversations. One day, she casually asked me why I didn't have a boyfriend, questioning if I felt uncomfortable around men. I explained that my remote job doesn't allow many opportunities for social interactions, making it tough to meet new people or attend social gatherings. Romina listened intently and sympathized with the challenge of finding opportunities. She kindly offered to help, suggesting tips on makeup and fashion to help boost my confidence. Romina's nurturing approach makes me feel genuinely cared for, almost as if she were my actual sister. She encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone, enhance my style, and be ready to make a great impression when the right person comes along. I'm truly thankful for her support and the proactive advice she offers. At home, I often wear a bandana to keep my hair out of my face while working, a simple yet practical choice for concentration. Romina's words made me think about the basics of personal appeal and the small changes I could make to enhance my presence, even in my remote work setting. Since I mostly stay at home, I rarely wear makeup, focusing instead on keeping my skin moisturized. There's seldom a need to dress up, so comfortable loungewear is my usual attire at home. It's hard to imagine stepping outside dressed like this, and since Romina mostly sees me in this casual setup, she might not have a clear idea of how I prepare for more formal occasions. In fact, at my brother's wedding and other significant family events, I've always made sure to wear proper makeup and dress appropriately. Yet it seems that Romina has overlooked these efforts. One day, Romina excitedly suggested we go through my wardrobe. "Let's start by checking out your closet, Alexa," she declared, and without waiting, she entered my room and started to examine my closet meticulously. I hesitated for a moment, wondering if I should stop her, but recognizing her good intentions, I decided to watch. I don't have a vast collection of clothes, but I am choosy about what I buy, ensuring everything reflects my personal style. My favorite brands are neatly organized, which seemed to surprise Romina. "Wow, I didn't expect you to have such nice clothes, and your makeup items are top-notch too," she remarked, evidently impressed. She had always thought the brands I favored were too pricey for her. As Romina continued to explore, she commented on each piece of clothing and examined my makeup case. After about an hour, feeling that her enthusiasm might be a bit much, I gently interjected. "Romina, it's about time," I suggested. Snapped back to the present by my words, she apologized. "Oh, I got carried away looking through your things." She concluded that there was no need for new purchases. Romina had even taken out all my winter clothes to inspect them, leaving them scattered about, a bit of a mess, which she didn't seem inclined to tidy. "No, I carefully select my makeup products myself," I explained, a bit defensively. "My skin is sensitive, so I've tried various brands and narrowed it down to these specific items." Romina looked surprised and mentioned, "With such high-quality makeup at your disposal, it seems you don't often go out and thus don't use it much, do you?" I nodded, admitting, "Yes, honestly, I hardly ever wear makeup unless there's a special occasion. I only apply it when absolutely necessary." As I replied that I only wear makeup when absolutely necessary, Romina seemed dissatisfied. She assertively declared, "That won't do. Next time I see you, I'll teach you some makeup techniques." As Romina sifted through my closet and evening approached, she finally decided it was time to head home. I often wondered about the frequency of her visits. Could it be that things were not going well between her and my brother? This thought troubled me. Why would she come to our house so often if her relationship with my brother was faltering? I couldn't quite pin down Romina's motives and found myself puzzled. Meanwhile, my parents embraced her frequent visits, treating her as a beloved family member, which sharply contrasted with my bewildered reception. Isn't it nice for Alexa to have a big sister? We're looking forward to Romina giving you makeup lessons next time, they remarked joyfully. They added a note of caution, but it's not good for Alexa to rely too much on Romina. I nodded in agreement, harboring mixed feelings internally. Truth be told, I had never actively sought makeup advice from Romina. My life is incredibly busy, and prioritizing romance or extensive beauty routines isn't feasible. Romina's offer to teach me makeup techniques was her own initiative, not a request from me. From past experiences, I often find myself caught up in Romina's whirlwind of spontaneous ideas. While my parents interpret this as her being supportive, I sometimes wish she would be more mindful of my need for personal space, especially since I'm focused on working from home. Yet, I find it hard to outright reject her suggestions because they are well-intentioned, and discussing this with my parents, who are very welcoming of her, feels daunting. With these heavy thoughts, I returned to my room and began reorganizing the winter clothes that Romina had left scattered around. As I folded and stored each item, a sudden concern struck me. My favorite sweater was missing. Wait, where's my favorite sweater? I muttered to myself, a sense of annoyance creeping in. I had no recollection of ever discarding that sweater, and its absence now felt strangely significant amidst the day's chaotic reflections. Whenever I update my wardrobe by purchasing new clothes, I make it a point to responsibly part with the ones I no longer need. This way, I maintain a clear inventory of my closet contents. I distinctly remembered not having disposed of my favorite winter garment, a piece I had bought just last year and which still looked almost new. I had diligently stored it, knowing exactly where each item belonged. The last time my closet had been accessed was earlier today when Romina was rummaging through my room. During her visit, I stepped out to the living room to ask my parents to prepare some warm tea and snacks for her, leaving her alone in my room for a brief period. I noticed she had brought her bag into my room, which might explain her ability to conceal anything unobserved. However, outright accusing Romina of theft seemed premature and potentially unbelievable without concrete proof, despite my suspicions. Feeling somewhat powerless, but determined not to be victimized again, I resolved to take preventive measures. A month after the incident, anticipating Romina's next visit, I invested in a discreet security camera. True to form, Romina dropped by and enthusiastically announced she was conducting a makeup class. She dived into my closet, handling my beloved makeup tools, and soon had me seated on the carpet for a lesson with her own cosmetics collection. As I had no plans to leave the house that day, I went to wash off the makeup shortly after she finished. During this time, Romina packed up, saying she was ready to leave. I called out to her, "I've prepared some tea and snacks in the living room. Please have some before you go," ensuring she actually left before I moved to my computer. This precaution was because of the new camera I had hidden in the room to prevent further intrusions or losses. Upon reviewing the camera footage, my heart sank as I watched Romina discreetly place several makeup items, including some rarely used nail polishes, into her bag. It seemed she thought these small thefts would go unnoticed. Disheartened and in disbelief, I transferred the footage to my smartphone for safekeeping and future evidence. I then went to the living room to discuss what had transpired with my family. Coincidentally, my brother was there, and as soon as he saw me, he approached with a concerned expression. Alexa, it's been a while. I heard you got a makeup lesson from Romina today. Please stop relying on her. You're the reason she feels compelled to come here," he remarked. His comment took me by surprise, and I responded, "What? I don't recall ever asking Romina for help." His misunderstanding of the situation added another layer of frustration to an already troubling day. The revelation of stolen makeup items left me seething with anger, but the situation only intensified when my brother implied that I had been the one inviting Romina over repeatedly. "Bro, I never asked Romina to come here. The makeup lesson was entirely her idea," I countered. But he sharply retorted, "What are you talking about? Romina has been trying hard to help you get yourself together, because you're a mess." "Me a mess?" I was baffled and stood there in disbelief. Then, with a dismissive snort, my brother added, I heard from our parents that all you do is play on your computer at home every day. Romina is worried about you. She told me your closet is full of expensive clothes and you have plenty of good makeup. Where do you get so much money? You must be siphoning off our parents. We can't let you handle things anymore. That's why we're taking over the household. This accusation struck me like a bolt of lightning. My brother had concluded that I was a shut-in, a NEET, not in education, employment, or training, based solely on my at-home computer use. But that wasn't the truth at all. I earn a steady income through my remote work, and my lifestyle doesn't imply a lack of societal participation. I had always believed my parents understood and supported my situation. When my parents returned home, I wasted no time addressing the issue. I relayed my brother's harsh words to them, hoping they would help calm him down. Yet, their response was not immediate, and they seemed deeply troubled, humming and hawing as if pondering something urgent. I pressed them for clarity. Aiden says he's going to live here, but are you really okay with that, Dad and Mom? Dad quietly responded, Well, if Aiden wants to live here, I see no reason to object. Mom seemed to agree, adding, Indeed, Romina is a wonderful person, and it might be fun for all of us to live together in this house. Hearing this, I was dumbstruck. At that moment, Aiden, standing behind me with a triumphant look, raised his voice. Unlike you, a NEET who just stays at home, I actually earn money and have a wife. Nobody needs someone like you here. I immediately retorted, I am not a NEET. I work from home. But Aiden continued dismissively. Oh, work from home? That's what pathetic people who have dropped out of society do. It's not much different from being a NEET. His words cut deep, and I was pained by the growing rift within our family. His misunderstanding of remote work was evident. Nowadays, many companies endorse remote work, and plenty of people are gainfully employed and earning a living from it. The misperceptions and unfounded accusations made the familial tension even more difficult to bear. Though I am not employed by a traditional company, this doesn't lessen my worth. Yet, facing disdain from my brother, who dismissively labels me a NEET, is distressing. All right, the NEET who works from home, pack your stuff and leave, he commanded. At this moment, both our parents alternated their glances between Aiden and me, uttering phrases like, what to do, and expressing their hesitance to intervene. It was a truly disheartening scene. It seemed everyone was charmed by Romina's amiable nature, and perhaps she and Aiden had discussed how delightful it would be to have more space for themselves, especially if they planned to have children. In comparison, as a single person, I'm seen as less likely to provide grandchildren, which might weigh on my parents' decision-making. Although unsure of our parents' true sentiments, the atmosphere made it painfully clear. There was no longer a place for me in this house. Yet, I maintained composure, and no tears were shed. Understanding my precarious position, I declared, Understood. I'll take the furniture and appliances with me. This surprised Aiden and Romina. How did a NEET like you afford furniture and appliances? Aiden asked incredulously. Check with Dad and Mom. Everything we acquired after you moved out was paid for by me, I asserted. After the confrontation, I withdrew to pack my belongings and contacted some acquaintances for help. Once I left, Aiden turned to our parents in disbelief, questioning how I managed to acquire all that furniture and appliances. Unaware of the full context, our parents responded with a smile. If Alexa is called a NEET, and since you are earning more, Aiden, we can buy new furniture and appliances if hers are gone, right? They even mentioned wanting a new massage chair, something I had previously deemed an unnecessary expense. Our parents have always been optimists, seemingly unfazed because Aiden, who has a steady job, could easily replace what was left with me. In fact, despite the family perception, I have been handling the property taxes on our house for quite some time, a fact not disclosed to Aiden. Our parents tend not to share their disadvantages openly. As I watched Aiden repeatedly bring up financial concerns, our parents merely laughed it off. We're at ease because you are here, Aiden. I observed this exchange from the stairs while making calls to finalize my moving arrangements. The next day, I was set to relocate to an apartment I had previously secured. Several friends, including one who owned a moving company, had agreed to assist, making the process smoother during this off-peak season. As the movers and I ensured all my belongings were packed, Aiden and Romina watched, clearly stunned by the unfolding events. I instructed the movers to conduct a final check of the house, ensuring nothing was left behind. The day was busy yet methodical, and by its end, I was ready to start afresh in a new space, leaving behind the misunderstandings and hurt of my old home. After confirming everything was loaded, the moving truck pulled away, destined for my new home. My friend, who had come to help, asked, "Alexa, shall we head to your new place? I'm sorry for suddenly asking you to help with the move." "Don't mention it," I reassured him. "When you said you wanted to set up a new writing environment, I promised to help. It's no trouble at all." Up until then, Romina, who had been silent, overwhelmed by the unfolding events, suddenly addressed me. "You're actually a novelist, and this gentleman is your editor?" I nodded, confirming her guess. "I've been planning to move out of my parent house for a while now, to foster a better environment for my writing. It was difficult with someone frequently entering my room without permission, taking my clothes and makeup. I needed to move sooner, but I was stuck because I was handling the property taxes for this house. That's when Aiden and you decided to move in," I continued, addressing her directly. "I'm grateful you're here to look after our parents who have a penchant for gambling. I don't plan to tell you all where my new place is. I can't bear the thought of my thieving sister-in-law dropping by. Oh, and since this house is in my name, I plan to sell it." As I spoke, I pulled out my smartphone and showed them a video of Romina stealthily stealing my cosmetics and placing them in her bag. Romina's face drained of color as she watched herself on the screen. My brother and parents, previously unaware of her actions, now looked at her with cold, judging eyes. "It's not what it looks like," Aiden stammered. Alexa was a NEET, and it seemed so wrong that she would have expensive cosmetics and clothes. I thought I was doing her a favor by taking them. Despite his excuses, the fact remained clear. Romina had stolen from me, and now everyone knew she was a thief. I shrugged and said, "Well, this is a good moment to cut ties with everyone." I then got into the car driven by my editor. Just before we left the driveway, I could see Aiden and Romina arguing with our parents. If they started fighting in front of the house, the neighbors would surely notice. To ensure I wouldn't be dragged back into their drama, I blocked all their numbers on my smartphone. Months later, during a book signing event, a thin and worn-looking Romina appeared, still wearing the clothes and nail polish she had taken from me. "I'm sorry, I need help," she pleaded. I replied firmly, "I'm sorry, but I don't know someone like you." Without taking back the items, I walked away. According to what I heard from acquaintances, after the house was sold, my parents, brother, and Romina continued living together. However, my parents resumed their extravagant spending, which led to financial strain as Aiden's income alone couldn't support them. I learned that they became demanding and started taking out their frustrations on Romina and Aiden. Romina had to start working to support their living expenses, and she became so busy that the idea of having children became unthinkable. Since I am no longer involved, I occasionally hear about their challenges while I focus on my writing, peacefully settled in my new home.